Ladies want biblical husbands, but as unbiblical wives. Modern women want a biblical husband to go out of his way to find her in order to find a good thing. But are they really that quote-unquote good thing wife that the Bible mentions? Is it one-sided where they want all the benefits of a biblical husband but do nothing in exchange to be the good, modest, virgin, biblical wife that such a husband would find? Stay tuned for all the smoke as we explore this probing, misunderstood concept. But be forewarned, this topic is geared towards those women who use the Bible to define how men should approach and eventually marry them. Nobody's picking on anybody here, but just addressing a popular but misused Bible verse. Now, if you're easily offended by the Bible, then by all means, you don't want this smoke, and I humbly invite you to check out our other videos. Thank you. Speaking of that, in our videos and website articles, we've discussed how modern Christian women love to pick and choose a Bible verse to reinforce their modern propaganda. Proverbs 18 is by far their favorite Bible verse. They can quote this one word for word, quote, "He that finds a wife finds a good thing," unquote. Many hustling pastors, yes I said hustling, feed their egos by helping them take this verse way out of context without explaining what this verse really means. This is why Jesus Christ called them hirelings. What's a hireling? Today we use words like temporary workers or mercenaries. A temp worker has no permanent ties to a company. They just do whatever the boss wants, collects that check, and moves on to the next job. Likewise, mercenaries are temporary workers for militaries. They have no loyalty to the country, only to that check. After they're paid, they could care less about the country or its patriotism. Sadly, fake pastors are the same way. They tell you what you want to hear, collect your tithes and offerings, and move on to the next congregation. The result is that the church members feel good temporarily, but are spiritually empty and void and even bankrupt. And this is exactly why churches today hardly have men in them like they used to. This quote-unquote feel-good approach to preaching about only a small fraction of the Bible mainly appeals to the feminine energy. Men can spot ear hustlers, I say ear hustlers, a mile away and have left the church the same way they are leaving the fake anti-male dating scene now, where men are expected to be traditional biblical husbands while the women can do whatever they want. If men don't like it, the women either leave him for someone else or, if married with children, take more than half his assets and reduce his role in the children's lives significantly. But let's turn our attention back to this hypocritical paradox where modern women want biblical husbands but are not biblical wives themselves. Proverbs 18 uses 4 key words we should dive into. Number 1, he. Number 2, finds. Number 3, wife. And number 4, good thing. So he, finds, wife, good thing. The first one is he. Ladies, who is this? What is this he? We know it's a man, but who is this man that you want to find you? Every modern woman has her own definition, of course, which has added to the confusion we see in today's dating life. He, quote unquote, is a follower of our Heavenly Father. He submitted himself to the will of God, obeying his commandments and building up a legacy so that he can share it with him and his future bride and their future children. So far, you ladies love this part, but we have 3 more keywords to go through. The second word is finds, F-I-N-D-S, finds. What does this mean? How did husbands find wives in biblical times? This is where a lot of pastors have failed you women. Back in the day, marriages were often arranged one way or another. There were no nightclubs, no bars, no lounges, no upscale restaurants, etc. for people to meet up at. Men would work someone's land or tend to someone's sheep or cattle. While doing that work, their eyes may catch one of the landowner's beautiful virgin daughters. The man would then prove himself to the landowner and ask her hand in marriage through him. If the father accepts the terms of the deal, there goes that deal, remember ladies, negotiating table, he would have his daughter prepared to be his wife. She generally had no say in the matter, although some daughters would try to negotiate with the dad or the guy in some way. Notice I said virgin. How many of you are virgins? Uh-oh. You ain't ready for that conversation, I can already tell. Also notice that women's fathers were the deal makers. How many of you have an older male family member who can negotiate the terms of your marriage? This is where modern women will say, quote, but times have changed. Women are free to do whatever we want to do. We can do anything we want now. Oh, really? So because the years have changed over the centuries, you expect God to just change to fit the modern woman's agenda. See how silly that sounds? The third word is wife. Let's pause right there. Ladies, do you know what a biblical wife truly is? I just gave you some clues earlier. She is a virgin, and her father is the decision maker in determining who she marries. This sounds old-fashioned to you, but look at it spiritually. Why even have a father involved in determining your future in the first place? Well, think about it. As a believer, don't you rely on God to help you with important decisions? Both men and women do. And even now, if we have a great father in our lives, we want his advice on important matters. Men will tell you that one of the best qualities they want in their wife is that she have a good relationship with her father. Such women tend to be the best wife material. Uh-oh, I done said something right there. But there is more. Have you read the biblical laws and advisories concerning women? She can't have tattoos. Uh-oh. How many modern women have entire arms, legs, booties, breasts tatted all the way up? I personally ain't judging you if you have them. That's not what I'm here. I'm not here for that. But if you want to take the Bible verses out of context to judge men by, then you have to abide by the verses that pertain to women as well. You can't have your way, ladies. What about the verses saying wives must be virgins before getting married? As virgins, the implication is that you can't have children out of wedlock. Uh-oh. How many of you not only have children out of wedlock today, but multiple baby daddies? What does it spiritually mean to have multiple baby daddies? We'll come back to that, so park that for right now. In the New Testament, women are instructed to be modest, not focus on makeup and jewelry, and by extension, nails and all those big eyelashes. Uh-oh. Women are losing their minds on that one. Having your hair fixed up is the only thing that's cool because the Bible says this is the woman's glory, her crown. But how many of you have attitudes with your man? Is that modest? How many of you demand that he pay for your makeup, petties and manis, expensive purses, etc.? Does this sound biblical to you? A wife is similar to the church. The church is a virgin, meaning that it has no other gods. Jesus Christ himself gave us several parables on his marriage feast, which is also called a party, the engagement period, and virginity. Remember the parable of the 10 virgins? Uh-oh, y'all ain't ready for that. 5 of the virgins prepared themselves for their fiancé by putting oil in their lamps. Why did Jesus use lamps in this parable? So that he can find them in the darkness, and the virgins can also find him. Uh-oh, your pastors ain't told you about that. But notice the virgins had to also put oil in their lamps so that it stays lit, so that Jesus and the virgins can find each other. Likewise, you women have to do your part to make yourselves noticeable by your future husband. You can't just sit back and do nothing. The Bible is not very nice and kind to those who are lazy. You know that. Notice the other 5 virgins did nothing to prepare themselves to find him. They didn't put oil in their lamps, probably because they felt they didn't need to, like a lot of you modern women, right? that Jesus would just find them as they are with no preparation needed. And guess what happened to these 5 lazy virgins when Jesus came back? Yep, you guessed it, he ghosted them. And notice Jesus used 10 virgins instead of 1. Oh, y'all ain't ready. In the Old Testament is the tale of 2 married sisters, Aholah and AHOLIBAH. Look it up. They were promiscuous wives who God divorced and sent packing into captivity. Think about that. Finally, we come to the expression, good thing. What is the definition of good when it comes to a wife? Again, the quote-unquote good thing wife is a virgin with no children out of wedlock who has a good relationship with leading family members, including her father. She has no tattoos, she is modest and humble, not arrogant, and not quick to talk back. She is submissive to her husband, and in return, his body is hers in the bedroom, like the Apostle Paul said. So gentlemen, pay attention as you have your part to play in this as well. But what if a good woman just so happens to have children from a previous relationship? How can we reconcile that with this good thing wife in Proverbs 18? Interestingly, there is a precedent for that in the New Testament. Recall earlier that I mentioned the 2 promiscuous wives, Aholah and AHOLIBAH. These are the children of Israel. The northern tribes was one, and the southern tribes was the other. So that makes for 2. When God kicked them to the curb for their rebellious spirit, he later came down to earth as Jesus Christ to open salvation to everyone, Jew and Gentile alike. When it came to the Gentiles, Paul mentions how we are grafted in because those of the tribes of Israel who became believers in Jesus Christ later were considered natural children at the time. So the Gentiles 2,000 years ago were brand new to the spiritual family the same way stepchildren are brand new to the household of the new husband that their mother chooses. Pay attention. Of course, now after 2,000 years, Christians are natural children regardless. But here's where things get tricky for single moms. When a Gentile became a Christian back then, they submitted to Jesus Christ as if they're Jesus' own children. Pay close attention. That means there can be no other gods, aka no other baby daddies in the new family household headed by Jesus Christ. Uh-oh, don't get mad. Modern women love the concept of co-parenting with both the baby daddies and the current man because it sounds convenient and safe in these days. But imagine if Gentiles, spiritually, in church, co-parented with pagan gods Molech and Baal as they brought in their spiritual children to the house of Jesus Christ. So in other words, Molech and Baal were the worst idols in the Old Testament, right? So you're going to bring them in as the baby daddies into Jesus Christ's household. Would Jesus tolerate that in his household? Of course not. Likewise, if single moms marry a biblical husband to be that quote-unquote good thing wife in Proverbs 18, she can't co-parent with the previous baby daddy spiritually, if you want to be biblical wives. This causes confusion in the household of the new man, and he can't be a true leader in the biblical sense. And we all know that most single moms don't really give stepdads the same ability to have full father rights over her children. We know this because if they divorce or break up, she will interfere with his stepfather relationship with those children, her children. Ladies, this is not biblical. And if you expect a biblical husband to be a true stepfather, you can't do this. This is ungodly. Okay, to wrap up, ladies and gentlemen, but particularly ladies, you can't take the Bible out of context to fit your one-sided narrative. If you want a biblical husband to find you, then you better make yourself truly ready like a modest, humble, spiritual wife the best way you can. Men are not like Santa Claus, where they hop from rooftop to rooftop with a naughty and nice list looking for his wife in the dark. You have to put oil in your lamps so he can find you. So he can find you. So he can find you, pay attention, in the darkness. And if you have children from previous baby daddies out there, You need to be fully ready to let your future husband be their only father, not sharing fatherhood with other men. That's going to be tough. And certainly, you can't be having relations with your baby daddies while under the household of your new biblical husband. You have to cut off all baby daddies if you want to quote Proverbs 18 like y'all do. And we know this ain't going to be easy because most of the other men will fight tooth and nail, those baby dads will fight tooth and nails to stay in their children's lives. Until modern women realize how to be good thing wives, like Proverbs 18, that they want men to find, the apocalypse of good men will continue. Welcome to the Brother Apocalypse.